Hi, Jaryd Krause, host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast. And in this episode, I speak to Miles Beckler from milesbeckler.com. He is an online marketing influencer and he's scaled his YouTube channel from 0 to 100,000 subscribers. He has multiple website businesses and gets tens of millions of views to his sites. He's a speaker, a podcaster, and a content marketing genius. Guys, in this podcast, Miles and I first start off talking about the difference between buying websites versus investing in real estate, and also buying sites and investing in online businesses versus investing in the stock market as well, and the returns and how they're different. We also talk about why to create content and a lot on the how to actually create that content. We talk about why it's important to put yourself in the shoes of your consumer and do that regularly to ensure you produce content they're actually wanting to consume on the platforms that they're actually at. We talk about how to repurpose that content and syndicate that content and why it doesn't have to be super hard and that we don't need all this tech gear to get started as well. We also look at why it's important to look after your body, your mind, your brain, and your physical well-being and your spiritual well-being to ensure that if you have that right, then everything after that you work on, like your business, can thrive very, very well. So make sure you go away and listen to this episode if you're looking to scale your website business with creating great content and getting into some digital marketing. So I hope you enjoy it and let's get started. Today's episode is brought to you by Investors Club. Investors Club is a marketplace for serious buyers interested in proven businesses that aren't listed anywhere else. There is a free membership where you can get access to 14-day-old listings and can purchase due diligence reports for $47 each. Or if you become a paid member, you can get instant access to every single listing, unlimited due diligence reports, no fee escrow services, access to exclusive offers from Investor Club partners, and priority support. Now, sellers do sign a 2-month exclusivity agreement to only list with Investors Club. There are no purchase fees or commission, meaning the seller nor the buyer ever pay commission in any deal. And every due diligence report provides next level metrics to make sure due diligence is far less time consuming, making it quicker for you to seal the deal. Also, Investors Club have a great Q&A support available both for buyers and sellers. I'm a full member myself personally, and a lot of thought and effort has gone into this service. However, there are a limited amount of seats for this membership, so go and check them out at that URL, investors.club. That is investors.club. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Buying Online Businesses podcast. Miles Beckler from milesbeckler.com. Thank you so much for jumping on. We probably should have hit the record buttons a lot earlier, and that's usually happens when you just finally meet somebody digitally. But thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Jaryd. Happy to be here, man. Yeah, and it was only 3 to 5 minutes of really good stuff, so I'm sure it'll come back up for the audience here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I just said to basically hold that thought on what we were just talking about, and that was that I asked you, had you bought a website business before? And you mentioned you had, and I just wanted to know, like, what's your take on buying versus starting from scratch? And you mentioned a little bit about real estate versus buying property and the different returns and stuff. So what was your idea around buying the site that you did just buy?
Yes, absolutely. So we're living in a world where investors are looking for yield, right? Like that's kind of like one of the major themes that's been going on. Obviously, there's some interesting tumultuous changes going on, but I think from a big picture, we're still in very low interest rate environment. So real estate is very exciting, right? You can get a very, very low, you're in Australia. I don't need to explain real estate to you. But the theory is I can get a lot of leverage. I can borrow 20%. I can get an entire property and I can put a renter in and I get all the cash flow from that. And I've done real estate investing. My wife and I met at real estate school, actually. So that was kind of like idea number one of what do we do with our monies that we're making online? And then my kind of thought is, okay, well, if that would get me X, what would buying an affiliate website, what would buying an e-commerce website get me if I was to invest the same amount of money? Because I got to put that 20% down, right? 20% on a $250,000 US house, that's 50 grand out of pocket. What would that same 50 grand get me if I was to buy a website? Then I talked to my tax lady. She's literally always my number two. And it's like, okay, I'm thinking about buying this. Can I deduct the entire $50,000? Because I don't necessarily, I want the tax deduction. We're making very good cash flow from our two main brands that are up and running. And she said, no, there's, it's like a depreciation. There's some goodwill. There's a lot of jargon I don't fully understand. What I got from it was I could deduct about 10% per year for 10 years. And over the course of 10 years, I could then take the depreciation on that. I get a lot better depreciation out of real estate. A great book called Tax-Free Wealth for anybody who's on that level, looking to drop their taxes, making, 700,000 mil 5 a year. Great book. Anyways, so then it came to the point of like, all right, so build it from a tax perspective is better. I've built my wife's website since 2009. That's generated millions of dollars in profit. I turned around and built the Miles Beckler brand in 3 years to an extremely lucrative position. So it's like, I know what I'm talking about, right? I know how to do this, right? So instead of becoming a guru and sitting on a Lambo and trying to sell courses on how to do it, I was like, screw it. I'll just do another site. But I didn't want to go to step zero. So I went to one of the sellers that I found to be reputable of pre-made affiliate websites. I spent about $1,500. And the reason I really like that is, number one, I just chose a niche from a list. And like, man, sometimes choosing that niche is like such an annoying question. And it's damn near irrelevant, to be honest, because if you're just going to put in the work, it works. So then my philosophy or my idea became, can I spend $50,000 on building this website to get it up to $3,000 per month positive cash flow? In the real estate world, I might see $300 to $500 per month positive cash flow for that same amount of investment. And you got termites, you got tenants, you got toilets, you got roofs, you got water heaters, you got all this liability wrapped up in the real estate. So from that perspective, it was a no-brainer. At this point, I'm sitting right around the $30,000 in. It's been 9-10 months ish. This month we've made about $1,500 to $1,800 cash flow, and the growth curve on everything is just going exponential right now. So I think the site could top out at about $6,000 to $8,000 per month positive cash flow.
Awesome.
So right now I'm hoping next month I'll see that I'm about a 12-month payback timeframe for cash on cash return on investment, which in real estate to get that in 2 years would be absurd. Like that just doesn't happen. Cash on cash return, you're looking maybe a 5% type return cash on cash in real estate. So that brought me to where I'm at today, and I'm doing almost like 95% of this is done by other people. So I'm paying for project managers, writers. I'm involved at the absolute most minimal amount possible because I have two successful businesses that demand my attention. And so that was the other third part of this kind of like theory was, can I outsource everything? Because there's billionaires in this world. There's there's centimillionaires, there's decamillionaires. Why don't they all just build out portfolios of cash flow positive websites? Because it's hard. Because this game's difficult. Because it takes domain knowledge. It takes very specific information. So the other side is, can I build out a team and some processes to where ultimately we can build one after another and kind of parlay the profits in to build a portfolio of these things is the big picture strategy.
Yeah, cool. It's so interesting, and congrats on that purchase as well and all the hard work. Obviously, you don't, like you said, to everybody listening, Miles isn't doing the heavy lifting here. He's got a team that he's just bolted this business onto his portfolio, and the team's already got processes and systems in place and all that sort of stuff to take over that business and scale it like they have your other two. So It's a bit different than somebody going, okay, cool, I'm going to, just if they have that expectation that they're going to grow something from, a couple of $100 a month or, $100 a month to $3,000 a month. But it is interesting to see the take on versus investing in real estate versus buying a website business. And for myself personally, I've been thinking back to like the last crisis of 2008 and all the things that have happened due to the time that we're going through. And I started investing in the stock market at quite a young age, and when 2008 came around, I got slapped pretty hard, to say the least. And afterwards, I was kind of thinking like, I've got to do something different with my money. What's left over? And then I started like learning the online space, and that's why I decided to put some into buying a website, because I could see the returns that you could make even if you're just holding long term on the stock market. Maybe you might get 8 to 10% if you ride the dips around and all that type of stuff, and you can get into candlestick patterns and stuff like that, which we won't do now. But you over the long term, you can get maybe 8 to 10% return. But with a website business and being realistic, on average, you can get a 25 to 30% return or 20 to 30% return right out of the gate as soon as you buy it. Maybe not something on the lower end where you bought, but say you buy something from 20K upwards, you can get a direct, that income that you can earn is like put another zero or, times it by 3, for the stock market. And the same with what you've done is you just basically 10x'd your return from the property market to the online business space. But the caveat here, guys, is that like it's hard. Like it is actually hard to do if you don't know the space. So that's why I like to teach people, like get them in the community, learn how to buy it, do it the right way and grow it. And then also, guys, check out Miles' stuff. He's so big on helping people scale their websites organically. And the content is just absolutely amazing. And that's what I want to get into now, Miles, is that, when you scale these sites, you're doing a lot of content marketing. Is that right? And what's kind of a little bit about your process on the content marketing? Because this is mostly what you do is organic type of content marketing, right?
It's one of the big areas. It's the beginning. So let's go back to the beginning of my story. 2003, I'm in community college and I learned how to essentially spam MySpace. I learned how to direct link people from MySpace over to affiliate offers, and I earned money when I got paid.
Yes.
I learned 2 things from that endeavor. Number 1 is that the platform can shut you down so I didn't own the content, right? You probably know Shramko, the own the race course, the own the racetrack idea. I didn't own that racetrack. I got shut down. Number 2 was if you don't build an email list, when the inevitable oops happens, you really have no asset to fall back on. So in 2009, my wife and I co-founded a website in the meditation and spirituality niche. We were flat broke. It was after the global financial crisis. I lost $60,000 investing in real estate because I became a flipper. And I had $50,000 in student loan debt because in America, that's just how we roll. So I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And I essentially told my wife, we had no money. We had to move back in with my parents. I was so flat broke. We borrowed $95.40 from my dad to get website hosting and a domain. And I told my wife, if you can write about these meditation, spirituality topics, I can do all the other stuff. I can find the keywords, I can optimize. And we became essentially 2 sides of a brain together. She was the content and I was the optimization and the marketing guy behind it. And then through brute force effort, we built a business that's generated multiple millions of dollars. So that process, that experience, and it took us 4 or 5 years to get to 10 grand a month. And then we just started, and then now it's just compounding because we've learned so many things that didn't work. We just spent years finding things that didn't work. At this point, I spent a lot of money on Facebook ads. I reinvest the profits from organic marketing into paid channels. And I have personally found that paid marketing offers me the best return on my investment out of any investment I've ever had in my life, but you have to have an offer that converts. How do we know what our offer was that converted? We spent years giving value and testing things with the free traffic that we generated. In 2016, I started my YouTube channel, tried to force myself to blog because my wife had so much success blogging, but I don't like writing. And finally I got challenged at a Kyle Cease event, a personal development seminar, to do something for 90 days that scared me. At the same time, I was seeing all these, I call them fake gurus, young kids on Lambos selling outdated courses that don't have much. They're very thin. They're just kind of rubbish.
Are these the guys that are posting screenshots of making $100,000 in 3 days on Shopify that's clearly butchered or edited?
Totally butchered and edited. They're not even using Photoshop. They're Canvaing it, and you can tell clearly that the guy in Fiverr they hired to doctor the photo didn't do a very good job. So that mix was like, all right, so I'm just going to teach everything I know for absolute free. And I partnered with YouTube because I just enjoyed this form of communication. And then I was able to grow that within 3 years, over 100,000 subscribers, and that was making about $30,000 a month from that brand. So I've just get content marketing at a very deep level. And a big part of what I get, and the big aha behind all of why this works over and over and over, because it's the same thing we're doing on this affiliate site. I take time to put myself in the shoes of the user. And so many people in this world just think about them damn selves, right? Like, how can I get my money? Damn, I didn't make enough money to, and it's like, if you want to make more money in this world, there's 2 ways to do it. Help more people and help people solve bigger problems. If you do both of those, you're just going to absolutely crush it. So I've gotten really good at like keyword research. Okay, I can see data that 3,000 people a month search for XYZ, right? Like wooden fountain pen, for example. But then I go deeper, and it's about keyword intent. It's about, what is that person at? Where are they? Who is this person? What are they actually looking for? Is this a gift that they're looking for? Are they a collector who want, and really just starting to understand from their perspective what they're actually searching for, and then creating the exact type of content that matches with that. A big part of why my YouTube channel grew so fast is, I teach how to do Facebook advertising, and like, you find the video and I actually show you what to do. Whereas most other videos in my space, they kind of tell you what to do, and then they pitch their webinar for their $1,000 or $2,000 Facebook ads course. Where if I was like, okay, you want to learn how to build a custom audience on Facebook? Great. Share my screen, click here, go here, do, and people, I gave people what they actually wanted. Like, it's not that crazy, but yet it is. Like, nobody thinks of it. And I don't know who it was, might have been Jay Abraham, who said that in the restaurant industry, there's two ways to get rich. Number one is you lock yourself up in your kitchen, you make the most amazing meal ever, and then you go find somebody who will pay you what you deserve for that meal. And number two is go find a hungry audience and offer them something to eat. Anything, offer them anything to eat. And that's my approach to it, is find people who are searching for something, they're not finding what they're searching for, and then meet them where they're at and help them get what they want. And if your product is X, there's always a bunch of awareness levels that lead up to that, getting into like Eugene Schwartz's idea about maybe they don't know about you yet, maybe they know about their problem, and they're just searching all around the problem. You have the solution for the problem, but if you don't take time to put out all those pieces of content talking about the problem, meeting them where they are, which is going into the problem and leading them to the solution, you're not going to make nearly as many sales as if you take the time to put that kind of content out there.
Yeah, hugely. I think that's so important. Guys, check out Jay Abraham, one of the smartest business minds out there.
Dude, he's a gangster.
He's so good. And
on his, if I can, sorry, on that, just for people listening, on his website, he's got something called 50 Shades of Jay. It's on the top navigation. He gives away, he's like in his 70s. He gives away 90+%. He gives away his books for free. His best videos are free. His interviews with Tony Robbins are free. So just go look at Jay. I think it's abraham.com, to be honest. And I think you might have to subscribe for it, but God, one of the very few people I allow into my inbox.
He's so good. And also you mentioned Shremko, James Shremko, own the race course. Check out his stuff. He should be coming up on the podcast shortly as well. I was just recently on his. But coming back to exactly what you're saying is about putting yourself in their shoes. Just before this podcast episode, I was out in the surf and I had my watch on. I was like, running down the beach to make sure I had enough time to surf. And I met my cousin out there who lives down the road. And he has a YouTube channel that he's looking to grow, and I told him to go away and check out your content. But he's already got videos on he's already got content out there. There's the how-to stuff, but it's not just, that's not what you just need. You need to like you said, put yourself in your searcher's shoes, your customer's shoes, your prospect's shoes. Walk around in those shoes for not just like a week, but like constantly wear them, constantly put them on. Let's say one day I'm going to put these shoes on and see what they're searching for, see what their wants, needs, fears, and frustrations and desires are, and how are they searching for this intent, this actual content. How do I solve their problem? And then what's the journey? Like you said, they might not know about who you are, but they probably know about the problem. How can you segue them to knowing about who you are, and you build your brand up around that, and then you become the go-to guy with that content that you produce, and it may be a big digital asset like your YouTube channel. And then once they're on that, then you can start monetizing that, and it's a perfect segue to get people to, join your community, or maybe click an affiliate link or whatever it is, because you already built this relationship with them. And I don't think anybody, when they're doing their content marketing, especially organic, is thinking about how can I introduce myself to somebody and slowly build this relationship with the person so they start trusting more of what I'm saying, and then I can help them further. And it's not about, I guess a lot of people were probably thinking, this is the best way that I can earn more money. It's not about that. It's like the more value that you give to them, the more great things that are going to come back to you in your business. And that's the stuff that Jay Abraham teaches as well. So how can you make sure you nurse these people to give them the best stuff for free through your content? And then the natural progression is that they're going to want to work with you anyway, right?
Yeah, it's the difference between sales and marketing, right? So marketing is essentially all of the things we do to gain attention of individuals. Sales is what we're doing when we're attempting to persuade them to take a specific action, take out their credit card and buy a thing. And if we get really good at the marketing stuff, if we get so good to where we show up everywhere, they know us, they like us, they trust us, they've been binge watched our stuff, they've implemented what we've taught them, and they've seen positive results in their life, the moment of sale, right, when you actually ask them to pull out their credit card, the likelihood of them converting goes up massively. Like, we still have to do copywriting and whatnot, but boy, you can get away with a lot worse copy if you've done all that work in marketing beforehand. And I prefer that approach, right? It's just positioning. Jay Abraham calls it the strategy of preeminence. And I mean, it's you can find quotes that talk about it in the Bible and in ancient religious cultures and spiritual cultures, right? Like the law of reciprocity, if you will. We just want to reciprocate for people who help us in our lives. And then one other thing is, people, there's that 4 quadrants of knowledge. It's like what you know, what you don't know, blah, blah, blah. So in the quadrant of what they don't know, that's the biggest quadrant for them. And so as we become experts, we know what's in that quadrant of what they don't know. So I can sit down with somebody in their business and their marketing and very quickly understand, like, ooh, this is the thing that you're missing. Like Tramco's got that skill too. It's just, this is the thing that's going to get you going on. But it's in the world of what they don't know. And there's certain things, there's like a foundational information that's required for them to learn for that item to make sense. And that's what we need to build, are these kind of bridges of content, if you will, that meet them where they're at and lead them logically to lay that foundation to get them to where they want to be. And a lot of people think that their problem's this, or that they want this, and that's actually only a step on a greater path, right? A lot of people, there's a How to Sell Anything to Anyone by Harry Brown, and the whole philosophy of the book is that people just want more happiness in their life, whether they're looking for a fat loss pill, whether they're looking for how to make money online, they're actually searching for more happiness. And when we start to get down these layers of what they're actually looking for, and we get to the real things, how do you know what people are actually looking for? Well, certain videos just pop, right? You see the spikes in the data, your analytics just go up and like, why did that video do so well? And you think about it, okay, well, so who is this? I thought she was in this position, but if that video did really well, maybe she's got kids at home too. And so one realization that's actually like a real one from this, my podcast. So I take all my videos and I just cut the MP3 off and I throw it on a podcast feed. Very, very little effort. I have a teammate in the Philippines who does all of it. I put 0 effort towards this. And my listenership is just growing and growing and growing. And I'm realizing most of my audience has kids. They can't sit on a couch and watch a video. They can't actually, because the kid, the moment their eyes go to a screen, the kid says, mom, look. And they can't. But while they're washing the dishes, washing their car, mowing the lawn, at the gym, they got the earbuds in and they're consuming. And it's like, oh, so now I've started to make my content more audio friendly because I realize that there's this whole segment. I'm not cannibalizing my audience. There's this whole underserved segment in the audio world that I can maybe help in a different way than just my videos. And it's these kinds of insights that stack up and create massive growth over periods of time.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the key piece that you just did. What a Shremko move there is just instilled in this episode. That little piece of feedback is so damn valuable and so important. It's like, for us to grow personally in our life, we need feedback. We need to know what we're doing right, what we're not doing right. It's the same within our business. We need feedback, and you can see what's spiking. You can get to understand what your customers want on a deeper level. And you're just speaking my language so greatly, because I'm just releasing a new course for my community that are already paid members on how to grow and scale their businesses. And that's what I'm saying is, like, you need that feedback wheel. You need to be even asking your customers after they're bought and give them a gift, like, feedback on their experience in purchasing from you, or their experience in consuming your content. And then you can also look at what you actually said. The key word is insights. You can look at your Facebook insights. You can look at your YouTube data. You can look at your Google Analytics. And I think a lot of people are forgetting, when they're creating content, they're just creating content for content's sake. Because back in the day, Google was like, just put out more content, because if you update your site, then you're going to get more traffic. But the reality is, putting out new content is not updating your site. You can edit and change those pieces of content, or refine those pieces of content on your site towards what that feedback is telling you, so you can get higher rankings anyway, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. The more we start to create the kind of content that the algorithm users like, the algorithm's going to fall in love with us. And I've always thought from day one, so when we started my wife's blog, Google was our number one partner. And what is Google's actually goal, right? So when I started my YouTube channel, what's YouTube's actual goal? Well, they're both kind of search engines, and they want people to find the right answers. And YouTube's monitoring when somebody types in how to create a custom audience on Facebook. And if that person clicks on a video, watches 4 seconds and hits the back button, YouTube's monitoring all of these data points, the average view duration, et cetera, et cetera. So it's within these data nuggets that we can see what's working and what's not working. And the one other thing I want to throw in there for people is the idea of statistical significance, because some people are like, yeah, I tried that. I made like 7 blog posts or 25 blog posts or 40 blog posts. And I mean, my new affiliate site that we're going on, we're at post number I think 83 right now. And we're just getting into the bulk of the growth curve. You need enough data points for statistical significance, for outliers, for your standard deviation, for all these mathematical things that you actually don't need to know what they are. But you need enough data points for the trend to begin to make sense. So I did on my YouTube channel, I did 120 videos in 120 days. By the end of the first year, I think I had 250 videos or so. So out of that data set, I was able to see 4 or 5 outliers. And indeed, 4 or 5 videos out of hundreds brought me the most traffic. And then I was like, okay, clearly these are the videos that people are either hyper interested in, or B, there's no one else doing a very good job of communicating what I communicated. And I was able to plot out dozens of other supporting videos around those. And it was by following those spikes and doing more around what worked, et cetera, that's how I hit that growth curve to reach over 100,000 subscribers in 3 years.
Which is just an absolutely awesome feat. And I've seen that grow, and it's still growing. It's still going really good. And I know a lot of listeners are thinking, how can because I know that also my direct clients are asking, I've got this content site. Should I be building out a YouTube channel? They may not be earning a bulk amount of money with their site that they just bought because it's not one of the big sites, but they're thinking about how can I make my content better, my written content better, and embed videos into my pages and build out a YouTube channel as well. And you've done that beautifully. You've got videos all through your content. I guess I want to ask about the strategy, and we don't have to get heavy deep into the tactics of what you've done to scale your YouTube following and scale your audience on YouTube. But what are some of the things that people can do that already have, say, content sites or any type of website that want to build out a YouTube channel without having a massive amount of money?
Totally. And really the first thing there's 2 things you need to think of before even going into the world of YouTube. Number one, is your world, does it make sense to make videos? So YouTube is a search engine, but YouTube's really cool because it's also kind of this weird social network, right? Because of the suggested videos, and people just waste time and fiddle off on there. But a lot of people will actually default to YouTube for the search engine. So I've got 2 houses, like a winter home and a summer home. Came back up to the summer home. One of the toilets, some valve wasn't working and it was kind of leaking. So what did I do? I instantly went to YouTube and I typed in the actual mechanism. I read the label off the top, and it was like, how to repair a blank toilet. The first video that came up showed me exactly how to disassemble it, how to put it in. It showed me the exact seal. It told me the exact seal number I needed to buy. It was an Amazon affiliate link. I clicked, it was there in 3 days. And that's happened. I fixed my sister's dryer like that. So there's this, okay, so what I'm actually getting at, the theory behind the example is, is what you're doing, does what you're doing lend itself to video? So I'm teaching digital marketing, and it's really easy for someone to follow along on my screen while I'm setting up a Facebook ads campaign, for example, saying, okay, click here, enter this here, now duplicate, this is how you duplicate it. Okay, now copy over your post ID like this. To write that out in a blog post, it's possible, but man, it's just arduous to go from a blog post in that. Crocheting.
And the consumer's going to get lost as well, right?
They're going to get lost. Yeah. They're going to get distracted. They're going to get bored. I'm learning chess right now because we're kind of our world's locked down. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do with my time? Chess. I'm not going to read a book on how to learn chess. I'm watching YouTube videos on it because it's very visual. And he explains why he moved that. And he's playing live games and explaining. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's definitely what I've been doing wrong. So some niches, some worlds, some things lend themselves. Crocheting, quilting. If you're going to teach people single quilt patterns? Like, do they want to read a PDF, or do they want to watch a video? So think about that first. And then second, obviously, is in your DNA. Like, are you a video person? Some people are just terrified with public speaking and terrified being on camera. And you don't have to go there in order to create it. There are ways to create shot lists, to create scripts, and to hire and outsource people to make videos for you. Video can absolutely support like a greater SEO scheme, but it's not required. I do think there's been some cool data, like 70% increase year over year on the amount of searches on YouTube. And right now, with the world being kind of locked down from some of the stuff that's going on YouTube, they've actually just notified they're lowering their starting point for definition. I think they're dropping from 1080p at the highest to 720p because the bandwidth on YouTube is absolutely going through the roof right now.
Sure.
So behavior is going in that direction. We are watching more video with 5G potentially getting rolled out. We're just going to have that much more bandwidth, and we're going to be more and more used to watching videos on our phones. So it's like, does it fit with your business model? And if so, can explainer videos help your people solve the problem they have before needing what you have? Can the videos help people use the products you sell better to make them want more of them? Can videos help you create more cross sells, because now that they understand your battery powered lawnmower website, and you actually have a battery powered weed whacker that uses the same batteries, and can you meet them where they're at to teach them how to use the lawnmower they just bought from your drop shipping site, and also remind them that they can use that same battery in your weed whacker, and now you get a hedge trimmer or whatever that is. So it's thinking about it logically within, what are your audience's needs? Where are they in their world? And then does it fit your business model? And if you're not the person to be that personality, you can always outsource it with scripts and whatnot. But I have found, and you maybe feel this too, at first it's nerve-wracking. It's a little awkward. You're like, okay, I'm on camera. This is kind of weird. And then something happens and you get some feedback, and you get in the flow, and you put out a video you're proud of, and it doesn't do very well. And then the one you're not proud of spikes, and you're like, God, why did that? But it becomes addictive is what I'm getting at. And at some point you're like, I have to create for my people. And that's really the sweet spot to get to. Surfing, you're obviously a surfer. Surfing is an extremely difficult sport to learn. It's probably one of the most difficult sports, in my personal opinion, to learn. Maybe the winged flying suits would be one I'd put above it. But compared to like snowboarding and skateboarding, like surfing's ridiculous. Like, it's in motion. You're not at static. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
So it just takes the learning curve. You got to get through the learning curve. Everything has a learning curve. And when you do YouTube, there's actually like 3 learning curves. There's number 1, there's the topic matter. If you're in the battery powered lawnmowers, you need to know about battery powered lawnmowers. Okay. So there's the topic. Number 2 is how to create a video that's going to connect with people, right? The art of crafting videos is learning curve number 2. And number 3 is like YouTube. How does the search work? How do I do titles? How do I do tags? How do I optimize? How do I optimize for search? How do I optimize for the suggestion? And just kind of honoring that you're embarking in 3 separate learning curves. You're trying to learn chess, surfing, and skydiving all the same, quilting all the same time. And it's just going to take you time. And so many people just give up when they're in the small phase. On my channel, at the end of month 4, I had done 120 videos in 120 days. I think I had like 450 subscribers. And there were people coming in like, oh, you're just proving this stuff doesn't work. And I had the experience with my wife's website before. Her site's reached 40 million people. We get 8 million visits per year to her website at this point. No vanity metrics. It's difficult to tell how absolutely insanely successful her website is. Unlike Instagram or YouTube, we can see the numbers in plain sight. But I had seen how compounding works. It's the same with the stock markets. It's the same with investments. It's the same with your organic traffic. And today I've got 597 videos, most of which are bringing me new views each and every day. And I'm getting hundreds and thousands of people coming to my stuff from all the effort I did over the last 3.5 years. And it was awkward and challenging to get going. But boy, once you get momentum on it, it becomes fun. It's a whole different world.
It is. It's some people just, I guess it's our attention span with social media these days, is our attention span so quick and so short. And we want things yesterday. And I don't think people understand the power of like truly just go away and Google what compounding does, not just for money, but to like relate that to other things in life in growing anything. And if you're playing the micro game, then and your expectation is like way up here, then it's easy to quit. because you're going to feel unfulfilled. But if you know that someday down the line, you're going to reach this level and you're in it for the long haul, and it could take you 2 years or it could take you 5 years, you're going to achieve that. And that's the goal. So always ensure you are going for the long game. I like what you talked about in how people consume your content. So this is something that I've been talking about in the course that I've been building out, is that some people may not like listening to podcasts. Some people may not do it at all. Some people may not like reading blog posts. Like me, I hate reading things off my screen. I would much rather watch a 3-minute video. And so how does your audience consume that content is a really important thing. And then just create that content for them. And if it is video, like you said, put yourself in your customer's shoes or your prospect shoes or people who are consuming your content, and realize that, like, Miles and I aren't actually creating this podcast for ourselves. Like, this is not for us. This is for you. So we need to put our ego and our stuff behind us and realize, like, I'm not doing this for myself. Like, I'm doing this to add value to you guys. And so are you, Miles. And you get over that, like, oh, I don't care what I look like. Like, I literally just came in from the surf, dried my hair, put it over with my hand here, chucked on the t-shirt, and I'm away. Like, you guys don't care.
Out of the budgie smugglers and got to it.
Exactly. You guys don't care what we look like. Like, you care about, like, how we're helping you. And that's, I think, the most important thing when you're creating content. And you can be creative, like you said. You may not have to be in the camera. So that's really important. So
slideshows, and I think that's really important to talk about for a second. So many people are like, okay, I'm going to do YouTube, so I got to get all this fancy gear, right? I got to DSLR, and I got to get a shotgun microphone, and I got a cam link. I got to learn OBS, and I took the most simple approach. I used the cell phone I already had. I got a $40 lavalier mic, and I'm still currently using a webcam. This is like a Logitech C920.
Yeah.
I think
I've got the exact same webcam. Exactly.
Yeah. Totally. Like, and so I have a good microphone now. I have invested in a microphone at this point. We literally record audio MP3 files, meditations for my wife. So it makes sense. But in the early days, I did everything with a USB headset that's probably on the floor, right? A $30 USB headset. And the point is that people, if you are actually giving them what they want, if you're giving them what they're searching for, the actual solution, the answer, the how-to, they can overlook a lot of quality issues. One thing I've always habituated from video number one was get in, give them what they want, and get out. Efficiency is something I value a lot. And it's because I value it as a person. When I go on into a 45-second dubstep intro and like, oh my gosh, and then they're going to talk about what they're going to talk about. And oh, by the way, you need to engage and do this. And like, I'm like, a minute 45 and you haven't even got to the point. I'm starting to click around in the timeline and I'm just getting I'm gone, right? So for me, I'm always shooting for, and I coach my students to really try to get within way under 30 seconds, you're actually delivering the promise. The title and the thumbnail of your video are a promise, okay? How to create a custom audience on Facebook. I'm making you a promise that when you choose my video, this is the result that you're going to get. So I come in and I say who I am, where you can find me, my domain name, tell them what they're going to learn, and I get into it. Within 16 seconds or so, we're on the Facebook ads interface. We're actually moving forward because we all have a short attention spans. As you mentioned, we're all kind of like, we want it now, we want it faster, we want it yesterday. So it's realizing that, and that when you're actually delivering the goods, all that production stuff can be, you can ease out of it a lot and really, you know, there's some Dean Jackson and Schramko interviews on both of their podcasts. They go back and forth, right? And like they're at a coffee shop. Like there's just this, it's terrible, right? It's horrible recording. There's stuff going on everywhere. They don't care. And the value was so worth it that I listen to I listen to it. I'm going through the whole thing because like there's value in there, and they took the time. They're like, mate, we should probably just record this for our people because they'd get a lot of value from it. Cool, let's do it. And they just went from there. So, and it just, you start to look at the world differently. So Jaryd, like we're just meeting, right? This is our first virtual meeting, but we're meeting in a way that we're kind of getting to know each other, right? I'm getting to know you, a little bit of banter. I get to drop a budgie smugglers joke that most of the audience probably won't get. And so we've got there's like rapport building that's happening, right? So we're like relationship building, if you will, but we're doing so in a way that we clicked record so the rest of the world and the audience can get value from this kind of initial exchange between us. And that's a different way of looking at the world because we've made the shift to become creators. And that's really all successful people online have really made the shift to being a creator. They create more than they consume. And there's some people who are expert copywriters, and they can create ads, landing pages, and sales pages that destroy it. And those people have got the Midas touch of gold. I don't have that Midas touch of gold. So I take a brute force approach of, well, I can make 550 really helpful videos in the next 3 years. And that's actually what put me where I'm at. But either way, whether it's epic ads, epic landing pages, epic pieces of content that get people, move people to action, or whether it's just all the super helpful stuff, it's all about creating. And that's the biggest key, whatever the actual mechanism is. And I think it's really important for every business today. You have to be creating in a direction that works with a search engine platform, because that's where attention is going. Yes, if you want to do Facebook ads and social media ads, and if you want to do social media marketing, great, do that also. But let your core videos, your core blog posts, your core podcast be that core piece of content. Try to get all three of those going, because you can make all three off of one piece of content, and then syndicate that content through social media. Our entire Facebook ad strategy right now that's crushing it, we're just taking our best performing videos and we're running them as pre-roll ads, and then we're retargeting people who watch 50% of the videos. And so we're like, everything's blending, all of the content's now blending together in this day and age. But I think everyone needs to have at least one main search engine they're partnering with for the long term.
That's funny. That is in my exact strategy with my content, especially with the retargeting as well. And I love it. And yeah, I guess we should talk about syndication. Let's touch on like why people should be like the deep level. Like I feel like you like the going deeper in the psychology of why people do what they do. But with a search engine, people are looking and typing in questions, and they're actually desiring and wanting their problem solved. When you go on Facebook and Instagram or wherever it is, different social channels, people aren't looking for that. They're just looking to waste their time and see what their friends and family are doing, babies, cats, dogs, stuff, all that. So you want to get them when they're sitting in the seat of like, I'm driving towards solving my problem. And that is the search engines, right? So YouTube and Google. And then that's where you're going to get better quality consumers that are actually wanting to consume your content. Whereas on Facebook, you've already created that content for those people that are hungry for it. So why not syndicate that onto different parts of your website and also onto social media? So like, we'll take a snippet out of this podcast, we'll put it on social media. And then if people like it, then they can check it out and they can discover us that way. It's more of a discovery rather than hunting for it. Would you agree?
100%. It's hunting versus farming type idea. And personally in business, I would rather have a large volume of people searching for me, searching for what I already do, searching for the exact thing that I offer, and finding me. And that experience happens in the search engines. And people still there's leveraged credibility. If you're number one on Google, there's a huge majority of the world who think that Google somehow has deemed you as worthy, right? Like they've somehow reviewed your stuff. So having that number one spot or being on the top page of Google, there's some leveraged credibility that the Google users trust. Well, obviously that's a legitimate good website. I mean, it's on the top of Google, right? And that's extremely valuable, but it's also competitive. And then on Facebook, you're completely right. There's a very different user experience. It's like the bar, it's like the coffee shop, it's like the hangout talking about what's been going on. And sometimes you can interrupt people in those conversations, but I don't want to build a business where I have to constantly interrupt people and attempt to convince them they need what I have. I want the people who know they need what I have and are searching for it to find me. And that's the difference. Now, I think we got to talk about Pinterest real quick in here and like LinkedIn, because you start to get into you have to think, and every individual who's marketing, when you go into a new platform, you got to think, okay, what is the user experience on this platform? Instagram is actually very different than Facebook, and Pinterest is this kind of interesting blend of, it's part search engine. So let's say you're going to build an out-yard barbecue because you want to throw some shrimp on the Barbie and you're just all about it. But yet it's winter and it's not the right time, and you don't have a vision for it. You got your space, you're like, what am I going to put out there? Maybe I could do like a wood-fired pizza oven and then a built-in. And so what do? They go to Pinterest and they search. So it's part search engine, and they look around and they're like, oh, that's beautiful. Pin that to my board for backyard redesign or whatever you call it. And it's bookmarking. Okay, so it's search and bookmarking. So what they're saying on Pinterest is like, I actually want what you have, but now is not the right time. Let me go pin that to that little board, and I'll go back to that when it's ready. And when the time's right, when the weather's right, and they hire the contractor and the contractor shows up, what does she do? She grabs her iPad and she opens up that board and says, this is what I want, this here, click. And she might actually click and do it herself, and they might buy everything through your affiliate links on there. And it's just a way of thinking. And so like LinkedIn is another example of, so LinkedIn's the water cooler, right? You're in the business world at LinkedIn. Yeah. You're hanging around the water cooler. You're bantering about kind of jargony type work stuff, whereas Facebook's a little bit more casual than that. Yeah, there could be some work stuff going on, but not really. And understanding what the user behavior is on the platform, and then taking the bits and pieces that work for each platform. So if you were to take snippets out of this audio here and video that we're doing, you would probably want to take a different snippet for LinkedIn, because it has a different approach and it meets a different type of person. It sounds very professional. It sounds, wow, this is very direct, and this is what I want to learn. Yeah. And then on Facebook, you might take a little bit more of the banter or a different piece or a different type of content, because the user experience on those on those platforms is totally different. And just a caveat, you don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to try to be like Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V says everybody has to be everywhere. He has 17 people. He's got a payroll of $50,000 a month for him to be everywhere. I don't have that. I spent 3 years doing no social media marketing at all. I did 1 year of nothing but videos, all in, literally nothing but videos, because it takes a lot of energy. And I wanted to master. I would rather gain mastery of that one thing. It's a Bruce Lee quote, right? Like, I don't fear the guy who knows 10,000 punches, but I fear the guy who's practiced one punch 10,000 times. I butchered the quote. I apologize, but the philosophy is sound there, that I wanted to become literally one of the best YouTubers in this space. And how do I do that? If you want to become one of the best surfers in Noosa, you better be out in that water a lot, because the competition's
every single
there,
morning, right? Exactly,
and evening, right? You need to be doing double days, and you're going to be eating. You're going to be looking at, am I eating? Am I resting and recuperating? Like every aspect of your life. You probably throw a stretching routine in there. So on that topic, my wife and I, we hike multiple times a day. I meditate every single day, and I have for 15 years. I've learned how to control. I do qigong, I do breath work, and I've learned how to kind of like control my biomechanical body, because this gets running, and you get it. We all get it, right? The brain gets going. And for the audio listeners, I was circling my hands around my head like I'm going crazy.
Heads around the head, yeah,
because we all get to that point where our head's like, oh, I don't even know what I'm doing. And free writing is a tactic where I just, when my mind's going too fast, I will write everything I can write for 10 minutes straight. It doesn't make sense. I don't care. I just get it out of my head. Then I go meditate. Then I go out in nature. Within about 45 minutes, I can come back to my desk and I'm clean. I'm clear. I'm ready. I'm ready to focus again, because focus is so valuable. So not only do the actual nuts and bolts tactics within the business matter, like the rest of the life matters. Like, what are you eating? What do I take? I'm very, very clean in what I put into my body, because I know that affects my brain chemistry, and I know that affects my energy throughout the day. I've stopped drinking coffee recently because I can't allow myself to have that real dip, but I drink really good teas, right? So I still, and we find ways to work on that stuff.
Slow optimization there.
Yeah, right? Like slow it down a little bit, right? Don't get myself anxious unnecessarily, because I really liked that double cappuccino. Like Australia's got some of the best coffee in the world for sure.
Coffee snobs everywhere.
It's everywhere, and I freaking loved it. The brunch culture was amazing. It's those kinds of things, right? It really is like a successful business is a reflection of a holistic life. And if you think you're just going to throw money at a business that's operating and you're going to get cash flow and you're never going to have to do anything again, that will potentially work for a period of time. There's obviously nefarious sellers out there. So I'm sure you teach due diligence, and oh my goodness, is due diligence so important in that world. But really looking at it as, okay, I'm going to get this. I've got an affinity for this. I know what this is. This complements my day job business. This is going to be an asset, and I'm going to be able to add value to this asset. And then you figure out how to channel what you have and what you know in a way that's works for you. If you're a writer, you write. If you're a speaker, you talk, etc. You learn how to build content around that. Boom. You can create something that can get huge, because we're in this little niche of channeled angel meditations that means nothing to most people. And we get 8 million visits per year to her website. We've done extremely well in that space. I got friends in New Zealand. They do fitness for a type of horseback riding. Fitness not horseback riding, fitness for the horseback ride. They're crushing it.
Wow.
So there's all these like super specific niches, and she's got 3 horses at her house. They love, and it's creating these kinds of businesses that the cash flow is amazing. The asset value is amazing. The lifestyle, the fulfillment of getting to work with your horse and getting to do what you love. Boy, that's what really is worth striving towards.
For sure. So many points there that I could just bring up. I think the first one is due diligence. Whilst we're on it, due diligence, like you said, is so damn important. Guys, go away and get my due diligence framework. You can get it for free on my free resources tab on my site. I just updated it. It's got 15 extra questions. Don't go away and buy something that's a lemon. That's most important. We're talking about the Bruce Lee quote, and there's another one which is like, those who try to catch 2 rabbits end up catching none.
Love it.
And there's a book written on it. And one of my mentors, he makes 60 mil a year. And he got a bit frustrated with me at one day. And he just threw this book at me. He said, you have to read this book. Like, he literally threw it across the room. And the book's called The One Thing. It's this yellow book by Gary Keller. It's called The One Thing. And focus on that channel, or focus on just creating your content in one spot. Do it for a long period of time and get really, really good at it. And also the one thing, and you're talking about the physical body and all that sort of stuff. I think firstly, and we could probably do another whole episode or something else, some piece of content on this itself, but I think the physical body and the mind has to be right before the business performance comes in. And that's what I like to teach with my clients is getting our mind right. If you have a different morning routine, it can be different for everybody. It doesn't have to be running around, punching your hands in the air and the Tony Robbins stuff. It doesn't have to be that. But, if you do these different things, eating right, clean eating, clearing, meditating, and purifying your body and making sure that you're in a good spot, because if your body is the vehicle and it's not performing, then how are you going to drive to the destination that you actually want to get to? And I think that's really, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because a lot of people we said this earlier, billionaires are sick and unhealthy and hate their life, and they spend too much time doing things that are not very fulfilling. And there's a difference. There's a huge difference between success versus fulfillment. And most people don't even know that we should be striving for fulfillment rather than success, because fulfillment is actually happiness, right?
Yeah. I mean, having a family that you love, being able to go walk down the street and have a surf, and whatever those things you love are, right? I love hiking out my doors. I got a house in Sedona, Arizona that's just some of the most beautiful red rock hiking in the world. And I can hike right out my door and like building my lifestyle around
Amazing.
what I love. And so cash flow becomes an enabler for that. So we need the cash flow. We need the businesses. We need to invest intelligently and create I'm a cash flow investor. I'm not a net asset value guy. I don't care about net asset values. You need to create the cash flow sustainably in a way that supports the life you want to live. And if people really took time to get down, like, okay, what do I want my life to be like? Well, I want to walk my kids to school every day. I want to go for a surf in the middle of the day. I want to walk my kids home every evening. I want to be able to play games with my kids every evening. That leaves me about 6 hours to work during the day. And I want to create things that make me feel good, that I know are helping other people. Boom. And I want to live in this neighborhood and these cars. Like, it's not going to cost as much as you think, like based on a cash flow level. Like if people really did that exercise of what do I need to be happy and live a great life, man, you might find that you could build $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year in cash flow, $120,000 a year in cash flow, and you'll be minted. You'll be happy as other people might want $300,000, $400,000 a year cash flow or beyond. And it's doable in this world, but it adds challenges, it adds complexity, and it's so a lot of people are chasing after something they think will make them feel better or happy, and when they get it, it feels empty. The new Lambo feels exciting for a little bit, and then that fades off really quick, and then you got to get that next thing, and it becomes like a dopamine hit versus just being happy and just realizing that time with friends and having time to be able to create cool things for other people actually leads to a great level of fulfillment. And when you really get it all in alignment, the cash flow spikes. right? So my wife, she's just creating amazing, great content and all these meditations, and we're reaching millions of people per month, really helping, especially right now with all the crazy that's going on. It's helping a ton. I've reached, I think, 6.5 million people on my YouTube channel who are trying to build businesses, and I'm just giving a ton of value there. And our income just continues to grow and grow and grow. We're not working harder. We're not spending more time than we did. It was more effort in the beginning, but we're just really kind of in that flow of sharing what we love, sharing what we're good at, really focusing on helping other people, and the rewards are showing up in many different ways.
Yeah, it just comes back to the more value you give, the more that comes back to you in your life as well. Miles, speaking of time as well, thank you so much for jumping on. There was like 1,000 other things that we could have talked about, but we might be able to do this again some other time. And just massive congratulations to what you have achieved with your partner and your businesses. It's definitely inspiring, and I want everybody else to go away and check out your stuff, check out your YouTube channel, check out your site. There's so many great tutorials and pieces of content there that is directly, like everything that we said in this podcast, it's directed at you, the user, to help you get success in your business. So where can people go to find out more about you and your content?
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And this has been a lot of fun. I'm open to do a second one because I think we could talk for forever.
I agree.
I'm the only Miles Beckler in the world, so I kind of lucked out with a unique name. So you can literally search Miles Beckler anywhere. YouTube is where I put out my content. Everything from there gets syndicated by teammates and everything else. I highly recommend, if you're thinking about YouTube, go watch my first video. So when you go to YouTube and you search Miles Beckler, you'll find my videos. And then in the top right corner, there's a drop down and sort by oldest, or oldest first, I think is what it says. Watch how awkward and uncomfortable and just like take time. When you find people who are crushing it on YouTube, you're like, man, I'll never get there. Go watch their first videos, because they all used to be kooks. They all used to purl. They all used to suck on their surf. And then they got a little better by doing it over and over and over. And that's often what we need to be like, you know what, F it. I'm just going to figure this out because my people need to know about electric lawnmowers, and I'm just the guy to teach them. So go for it, or whatever it is you do. The world needs more creators. That's the truth.
Yeah, awesome. Check it out, guys. Miles Beckler, Google it, milesbeckler.com. There'll be show note links. Everybody that did listen, thank you for listening as well. Please go away and do us a massive favor. Miles and I talked about feedback, and we love feedback because we want to grow. Please give us some feedback. Give us a review on this episode, and I'm sure we'll probably do another one of these, and we can probably talk about some of the things you bring up as well. So do us a favor. And do yourself a favor, give us feedback, and we'll go from there. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you guys on the next one.